Hello my friends, it's Gabriel with The Last Huntsman Outdoors here. We're just going to be doing kind of an indoor tabletop type of video here, and I'm going to be discussing over the years of some of my favorite knife steels that I've used and some of the ones that I don't like using. So I'm going to be discussing that. I'll kind of list off some carbon steels that I really like, which I generally do lean on carbon steels, and some of the stainless steels that I like. And I'll also be kind of throwing out some caveats. Right off the bat, first of all, I know that people are gonna like, here's this chart and here's this list and here's all these numbers and graphs, and really honestly, I don't care about a lot of that. I get a lot of my experience just with in-field use, and that's just what I'm going to base my preferences off of, is just in-field use. And also, you know, with this list, this is just based off of knife steels that I've used. If it's some steel that I've never even tried before, then I can't really speak much to it. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and start. Some of the my favorite carbon steels that I've used. Now, I generally lean on carbon steels. I've said that time and time again, but there are a couple stainless steels, actually a few, that are starting to lean on me more. Now, I know it's not the latest and greatest and all that good stuff, but one that I find myself actually kind of liking a good amount is a good old just 1095. I know that some brands, well, there's actually a lot of brands that do 1095. I will say, out of all of them that I have tested over the years, I do just continuously find that Essie does a good 1095. Now, would I love to see Essie do like a more premium series steel and maybe come out with like a CPM 3V variant? I would love to see that, honestly. But at the same time, for the price point, and especially with the way things are getting these days with the price and not as much money to spend on things and stuff, you know, here's the thing. 1095 is still going to serve you well. 1095 is going to do everything you need it to do, and 1095, quite frankly, is probably going to last longer than you are. So I still don't have a problem with 1095. While we're still kind of on the crusty old carbon steel train of thought, I will also say another one that I've really come to like is ADCR-V2. I have come to really enjoy using ADCR-V2. This is the Tarava Yukari Puko 140, and I have a handful of knives with ADCR-V2. And it's a steel that I keep coming back to. It's one that I personally like. Another one, I don't have one on the table here to mention, but I do like using 52-100. I've found that 52-100 is also a very solid steel. And kind of in that same train of thought, I also have found that I like 8670. There's not very many makers that I've found that uses 8670, but I've come to find that between ADCR-V2, 52-100, and 8670, that I actually kind of prefer 8670. And I don't even really know or care about the specific specs on it, but I just know that 8670 really seems to hold an edge, and I like 8670. And while we're still kind of on that more crusty carbon steel train of thought here, another one that I've kind of come to like is from Work Tough Gear, the SK85. From my understanding, it's kind of more of like a 1080 type of steel. From my experiences, it has been a very durable steel. I've had a handful of knives in this steel, and it always just seems like it holds up. And honestly, I find that the edge holding is pretty decent. You know, usually I could beat the crap out of these all day long and then turn right around and put it on the strop, and it's hair shaving sharp again, just like a lot of my other carbon steels. Another steel that I really enjoy using is some good old CPM 3V. I love CPM 3V. It'd be hard for me to pick a favorite steel, but I will say CPM 3V is probably one of the closest if I had to pick one. I like the way CPM 3V works and performs, and I know some people will say, well, blah blah blah, you can't sharpen that out in the woods. Well, I'm gonna straight up say this: I have sharpened these out in the woods. I have used CPM 3V out in the woods. I've been on 2 and 3 day little adventures and stuff with CPM 3V, and I personally don't have a problem with CPM 3V. I find that CPM 3V is a very usable steel, and just a little work tough or work sharp, a little field sharpener, leather strap side, keeps the CPM 3V going pretty good. Now this is another steel from Work Tough Gear, but I actually find that I think it's my favorite steel from Work Tough Gear, and that is the Bowler K329. This steel is not like a super popular steel, but from my use and experience with it, I have come to really enjoy using this steel. I've become kind of a fan on some of the Bowler steels, and the more I use this K329 steel, the more I actually come to enjoy using it. And it's a very tough and durable steel, but I feel like it has a little better edge holding than even a lot of your other carbon steels. Now, I'm not exactly sure on this, so don't quote me. At first, I thought this was more of like a stainless, but from my understanding, it's more of like a chromium type of steel, so it's kind of that weird in between, basically. And so, don't quote me 100%. I just going off of memory here, but yeah, I've come to find that I like K329. Now, like I said, there are a few stainless steels that has actually kind of really caught my attention. And one of those stainless steels is Elmax. I've come to really like Elmax. Elmax, I feel like it has decent durability. It's not like bare to sharpen. Actually, I find Elmax is fairly easy to sharpen even out in the woods and stuff. So Elmax has become one of my more favorite stainless steels. I do know, however, it is kind of an expensive stainless steel for whatever reason. Another stainless steel, and I'm gonna kind of be a little more specific on this, is S35VN. I have come to like S35VN, but when I say specific, what I mean by with that is I've tried a few different S35VN steels, and I'm not impressed with every S35VN steel I've tried, honestly. That being said, the S35VN steel coming out of White River, this is the Exodus Knife and Tool Jackalope, highly suggested knife here. Be sure to check out Jacob Peterson and his channel as well. He's the designer of the Jackalope. But yeah, the White River S35VN, some really good stuff. Now, I am not the type of guy that jumps on the new latest and greatest. I'm not the guy that's going out and selling my 308 so I could get a 6.5 Creedmoor just to find out that 6.5 Creedmoor kind of actually sucks, and then I'm having to go back and buy another 308. I do not jump on the latest and greatest. So I've been pretty reserved on MagnaCut. Me personally, at first I thought, hey, I think this is a little overhyped, quite frankly. And I still actually maintain that position. I still think it is actually a little overhyped. That being said, after trying a couple blades in MagnaCut and getting my own in MagnaCut, and the one I ended up getting was the Schwarz Overland in MagnaCut. And honestly, the more I use this knife, and even this steel, the more I come to like it. The edge holding on this knife is amazing. Now, I cannot speak to all MagnaCut, and actually, let me go on to another little caveat here. Let me put this on pause. I'm going to say this too. The fit and finish and heat treat and the maker of the knife is more important than the steel itself. Perfect example of this. I'm not going to mention too much specifics here, but you know, I've tried a lot of knives, and I've even had some from a foreign country that was in CPM 3V supposedly. But to be totally honest, testing it side by side with even like an SE and 1095, I found that even the SE 1095 was better. Now, could it have been fake CPM 3V? Maybe. But also, really honestly, I trust a company that has like a legit good track record with a specific, you know, inferior steel than even a company that has a crappy or mixed track record with a superior steel. So I just want to throw that other little caveat out there. Now, back to MagnaCut. I've been using this knife more and more. I've been EDCing it some, and I've been finding that MagnaCut actually does kind of hold up to its hype in a lot of ways. I still think it's a little overhyped, but it does hold up to a lot of the hype that it's getting. And you know, back to that caveat that I mentioned, the Schwarz Overland, the fit and finish and the attention to detail and stuff is just absolutely amazing on this knife. So that's kind of the top list of steels that I really like. Now, there is a couple steels that I've tried over the years that I don't really like. One of those steels, actually my number one steel that I don't like at all, is Nitro V. Now, I've tried like 3 or 4 knives in Nitro V, and I continuously just get rid of them. I don't like Nitro V. I don't like me personally, I don't think the edge holding is even as good as half these other steels, and it's a nightmare to sharpen. And so to me, I think Nitro V is one of those that needs to just go away. Another one I think that's kind of in that same strain, and for the exact same reasons, is M390. I've had 2 or 3 knives in M390, and I find it feels a lot like Nitro V. It's just it has okay edge holding, but honestly, it's not as good as even S35VN, or definitely doesn't compare to MagnaCut. And I would even argue that some of the carbon steels here has, at least from my own just out in the woods, redneck, hillbilly woods testing here, you know, even some of the carbon steels match it. So to me, I think M390 is one that I'm not particularly impressed with. And another carbon steel that I find that gets used quite a bit that I'm not particularly impressed with is 1075. I think, well, I will call them out. Condor and a couple others will use a lot of 1075, and granted, I think they do have some quality control issues. I've seen that, me personally. That being said, 1075, from my experience, it's supposed to be a very tough, durable steel. But time and time again, I have found that some of the 1075 that I've used, at least even from like Condor, has been very chippy. And I've chipped out even like a 1075 machete before on just cutting, brushing heavy sticks and stuff with it. when I know for a fact that if I used my SE Hungless in 1095, which is technically not supposed to be as tough of a steel as 1075, wouldn't have done that. So I have become not really a fan of 1075 either. But this video is becoming a little long and rambling, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Tell me what your favorite steels are. And also, tell me what you think of the Magna Cut. Do you guys chase after the latest and greatest new steel, or do you find that some good old classic 1095 does the trick for you? Tell me what you all think. With all that being said, be prepared both physically and spiritually. God bless, and carry on.